This new moon in Taurus is not coming to play, boo. If you've been keeping up with my videos, if you watched last week's horoscope, then you already know we have a very intense new moon coming this weekend in the sign of Taurus. Let's talk about it. And you want to watch the first part of this video before you go skipping to your sign. If you don't, you're missing out on a lot. And trust me, you're just really going to want to watch the first part of this video. So thank me later. Alrighty, so we have a mother effing new moon in the sign of Taurus. Normally new moons in Taurus are very nice, harmonious. They feel good. They remind us to ground, to slow down, to stop and smell the roses, to enjoy the beauty around us. And this Taurus new moon in particular is a little bit different, okay? She is a banger, okay? She's a banger. She's basically showing us in so many ways that we have had the wrong idea about what we want and desire in our lives, that we have had the wrong idea about what we value, what fulfills us. Maybe we've had some insecurities about money, finances, our physical lives. We've been clinging to superficial stuff and not actually feeling fulfilled and abundant internally. And that is leading to a lot of other problems. So this Taurus new moon is in a T-square with this Mars-Pluto cosmic storm that we have happening this weekend, that the last several months since the end of last year of 2024 have been leading up to. So there's been so much leading up to this new moon, and this new moon is highlighting kind of the end and beginning of something very new in our lives. And so if you're feeling very intense for this new moon, if things feel a little eerie, unknown, if you have a lot going on right now, okay, it's 100% understandable and can be explained with astrology. So let's get into it. Okay, so this new moon is happening here in the sign of Taurus. And again, a new moon, as always, is usually a brand new beginning, okay? So that's the first layer of this energy. This is a brand new beginning, something happening, something ending and beginning all in one. But this particular brand new beginning is also simultaneously in a T-square. And a T-square shows us where there is something here that needs to be resolved, especially with something that has been building in our lives, something that has felt intense, a situation or certain areas in our lives where we have been pulled in two different directions and haven't been able to reconcile these two extreme opposites in our lives, where we haven't been able to truly actually figure out a solution to these two oppositions in our lives, to this massive conflict and heated, struggle that we've been going through in one area or another. So usually a Taurus new moon, like I said, is about beauty. It's Venus ruled and it's an earth sign, right? So usually a Taurus new moon is about a new beginning. It's about the things that feel good, the things that are comfortable, the things that are convenient, what we want for our lives, the physical things that we want for our lives, the pleasure that we want for our lives, the desires that we want for our lives, the lifestyles that we want to have, the type of money, security, stability that we want to have, as Taurus is a fixed sign. And so it's very much fixed earth. It's very much dealing with that earth element. And when you think about the earth element, it's dense. It's kind of hard. Because it's hard and dense, it's heavier, and it's slower, right? It's slower because it's dense and heavy. And so when we think about that, when we think about Venus ruling this sign, it is very much about the things that we want to feel stable, the things that we want to feel safe, secure in our lives physically. Okay, but because it's also Venus ruled, it's like we want it to feel good. And it feels good when things are safe and stable. The moon is exalted here in Taurus because of that reason. Emotionally, the moon rules Cancer usually. So emotionally, we want to feel safe and stable. We want the things around us to feel like they are not falling apart. Okay, we want them to feel safe, stable, feel good, look good, smell good, taste good, all of those things, right? Like we want to feel like we are just comfortable and we fit right in and things feel good and things look good to our eyes and, beauty, but also the comfort that beauty brings us, the comfort and the stability that, having a certain level of abundance brings us, right? And so that is Taurus. It is all about really physical fulfillment, fulfilling our physical desires, whether they be bodily, whether they be money-wise, whether they be material-wise, resource-wise. We want to feel good about our physical lives in some way, shape, or form. But the issue with this is that Venus, being the ruler of this new moon, is here in Pisces, okay? And she is also coming off her very long story conjunction period with Saturn. I talked about this in depth in last week's video, so I'm not going to go too deep into it now. But this Venus-Saturn conjunction has been really teaching us a lot of karmic lessons in love, desires, our dreams, what we want, relationships. Okay, we've had to learn a lot of lessons here. And so with this Venus-Saturn conjunction, it's been very much about, okay, if we want the good, we also have to be able to accept the bad that comes with it. We have to be able to accept the other side. Saturn draws lines. Saturn's about boundaries. Saturn's about commitments. Saturn is about the hard, difficult lessons that we have to learn. Venus, who just likes to have fun and feel good and be in love and be flirty and be charming and have a good time, is sitting here with Saturn. So it's like maturing within our emotional relationships, within our emotional situations, within our desires, within what we want. What we want and desire is maturing. We've learned a lot of lessons over the last, almost 2 years now with this, with this Venus-Saturn conjunction that's kind of coming in to show us, what have you learned over the last almost 2 years? What do you desire? Where have your desires matured? Where are you realizing that you're not truly fulfilled in your life? Where are you realizing that you haven't committed to your desires, maybe because you haven't wanted to face the consequences that come with that commitment or the potential negatives that could come with that commitment? Like in my weekly horoscope, I talked about how a great example of this, but a smaller example of this is I stopped vaping last week, and it was it's been rough a little bit, not as rough as I thought it would be, honestly, but I have been using nicotine substitutes, I have a patch on and been using the patches, using some gum here and there, but it still has been rough. And the whole reason that I didn't want to quit in the beginning was because I didn't want to deal with the roughness, right? And that's really Venus Saturn. It's like we may desire something and we may want something, but it may come with some losses. It may come with some hard, difficult stuff that we don't want to face. Okay, and I've been using the notebook scene a lot, but that is so fucking perfect for this, right? That is so, actually, the notebook literally describes this fucking Taurus new moon, now that I just thought about it. Holy shit, oh my god. It's everything I was going to talk about for this Taurus new moon, and that makes it so much easier. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm sure we've all seen the notebook right now, right? Allie is this beautiful young woman, right? But she comes from this wealthy family, Taurus, right? And she meets this outsider, right? Saturn and Pisces, but also Pluto and Aquarius, right? Which is Taurus new moon is squaring, and it's also squaring Mars and Leo, right? She meets this outsider, is on the other side of the tracks, other side of the town, falls in love with him, right? And he's persistent too. Even though he's an outsider, he's confident, and he's also kind of what's the word? He's got chivalry, Mars and Leo, right? He's a good mix, but he doesn't have money, right? He comes from humble beginnings. His family does not have money like that, but he's still confident that he can win Allie over, right? And he puts himself out there, really risk everything to try to win her over, and they fall in love, have a summer of just romance, and, they just absolutely love each other, but they also fight. It's a very intense relationship. It's a very back and forth struggle, And then at the end of the summer, because they're still teenagers and they're not adults yet, Allie's family forces her to leave, for the summer, and takes her back to wherever they went. I don't remember. I think Boston maybe or something. I could be wrong. But they take her back, and she tells him before she leaves, she's write me. Or she tells his friend. She tries to tell him, but he's not there. So she runs into his friend and she's like, I have to leave. They're making me leave right now. You have to write me. Tell him that he needs to write me. And she gives him an address and all that. And he does. He writes her every single day for a year, maybe more. I can't remember. But he literally wrote her a letter every single day. But her mom gets these letters because she's the one that checks the mail and doesn't give them to her. So she thinks, she's all this distance away at this point. So she thinks that, oh, well, I guess he's moved on, or I guess maybe it wasn't like that for him. So I guess I'm supposed to move on with my life. So but on his end, he thinks he thinks the same thing about her because he's written all these letters and she's not responding. So he goes and fights in the war. She goes and becomes a nurse for war veterans and stuff, and ends up meeting this guy who comes from a wealthy family and is super charming as well, and basically can give her the lifestyle that she wants. Again, Taurus, right? Give her the physical things that she wants and appease her family, her mom and dad, and he's just perfect in their eyes. And so she ends up, going out with him, and it's really good. Like, there's nothing bad about it. It's really good. But she still does think of Noah, the original guy, from time to time. And he's still super messed up over her all these years later. He comes back from the war. He's got a girl that he's kind of seeing, but you can tell he's just really not into. And he builds the house that she literally said she wanted. Like, when they were hanging out and dating that summer, she told him what house she wanted, how she wanted it to look. And he literally built that house and created it for her. And lived in it for years, And so on her wedding day, again, I'm sorry if you've seen all this and you're like, Tawny, I already know this, but on her wedding day, then she sees it in the, I'm one of those people where I can't just tell like a brief story, like I have to give the details or else it's like, it doesn't feel right, So on her wedding day, she's sitting there about to get ready and get her dress and stuff, and she sees in the newspaper, Noah, the guy, she hasn't heard from all these years, didn't know what happened to him, that he's selling the house. And then she sees the house, and it's the exact house that she wanted. And so then, she's like, oh my God, and she like literally faints, and she's like, okay, like I can't, we've got to hold off the wedding. And then she travels back down there to the house, goes and sees him, spends like a weekend with him, and they fall in love all over again. And now it's just like this triangle, and she's like, oh my God, what do I do? And then her parents come there, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, he's literally waiting on you to get married, and you're down here with your ex and, like falling in love with him again. And I remember that the scene I kept referring to in my last couple of videos is like, she's leaving, the first guy, her first love, to go confront her soon to be fiance. And she hasn't made up her mind yet on what she wants to do, on who she wants to be with. And Noah, the original guy, is like, she's trying to get into her car, and they're fighting, and he looks at her and he's like, just what do you want? And she's like, I don't know. And she's crying, and he's like, just what do you want? He's like yelling at her. She's like, I don't know. And he's like, what do you want? God damn it. Like, what do you want? And she's like, it's not that simple. And he's like, it is. And it's so like this new mood. And I'm not saying everybody's going through that exact scenario right now. It just like, it's more so the underlying themes, okay? It's like we have went through certain lessons in our lives, Venus and Saturn, from the past, and all of that. We've went through certain lessons in our lives, and yes, they've been hard and difficult, and we've learned so many different things from them, and we've learned we've learned like what we actually value, what we actually desire, what actually fulfills us. And we've learned what we actually want. Like, that's what this like whole last few months is about. It's like coming to this point of maturity and evolution with what we truly desire. And why? Because Saturn actually is ruling. Why is this line like so? I don't understand. Saturn actually is ruling Pluto here in Aquarius, because Pluto is in Saturn's sign. And so Saturn rules Pluto in Aquarius, and Saturn's with Venus in Pisces, which is the ruler of this new moon, okay? And the sun with the moon here is the ruler of Mars in Leo, okay? So this is all kind of connected in like a weird way here. Like, and plus they're all squaring and in this T-square anyway. So this Taurus new moon is like bringing out some kind of opportunity to plant seeds for security, stability, and personal growth, and the things that we desire in life in the physical realm. But maybe we've been under some kind of spell or illusion as to like what that actually looks like. Like, what do we actually want? Or maybe we've gotten what we thought we wanted, and we realize that it's lacking like some kind of depth, some kind of emotional depth, some kind of emotional fulfillment, So, Taurus is an earth sign, therefore it's focused on like the practical things, the things that check the boxes, the things that are like on paper, they look good, right? And so that can be finances, the enjoyment and pleasures of life. And so I think that this Taurus new moon, or a Taurus new moon usually encourages some kind of like grounding and setting of intentions around building a strong, sustainable foundation for the things that we want in life. And that can be some of it now. We could start realizing what we actually do desire and want in terms of the life that we want to live, or if the life that we want to live is actually, or the life that we're living now is actually fulfilling us from the inside out, or if it's just physical. There's something happening here where we are really focusing on lasting fulfillment instead of superficial or fleeting, pleasure or satisfaction. And I think that with all these intense transits happening, there could also be just this tension between like wanting to slow down and the intense need for like change right now. Okay. And so this could create some kind of internal push and pull for many. And I think like really the big thing here is that like it seems like our challenges or what's been holding us back or what isn't true for us is out in the open. Like everything is out in the open right now. Okay. It's like all of our challenges are out in the open, And with the square to Pluto and Pluto being ruled by Saturn, which is, conjunct Venus, which is the ruler of this new moon right now, Pluto in Aquarius wants to break us free of whatever has power over us, whether that be our minds, whether that be society, whether that be what other people want us to do. Again, the notebook, like going back to the whole notebook analogy, like her parents and what society expected of her versus what she desired to do, or even what our partner expected of her versus what she desired to do. It's like, where have we been doing that somewhere in our lives, And Pluto's trying to show us that. It's like if we are living in fear or, we are living in something that may feel good on the outside or may feel superficially good, but it's like, are we really experiencing the depth of fulfillment that we want to be experiencing? And this is the time to get honest about it, even though it's uncomfortable and inconvenient and can bring up some like difficult truths, decisions, and situations. Because this is not a comfy new moon. Taurus is usually about being comfortable, but it looks like to be comfortable, we're going to have to deal with some messiness. This is a messy new moon. We're going to have to get our hands dirty, okay? It's like to build a beautiful garden, you can't sit there and expect your hands to be clean the whole time. You're going to have to get down and dirty to build that garden, If you want to build a house, you're going to have to get down and dirty to build that house. Not everything's going to go smoothly and easily and, feel good 100% of the time. And that's so much of the lesson here, I feel, is coming up with this Taurus new moon. Again, back to Pluto and Aquarius. It's like we're breaking ourselves free. And breaking yourself free means facing the fear in your life, i.e., facing yourself, because you are connected to those that you think are the issue or those that you think have control over you or the things that you think have control over you. Again, everything's connected with Aquarius. So if you're seeing the shadow side of other people or if you're seeing the shadow side of the world or if you're seeing where you've allowed what other people think or other influences to have control over what you want or what you do, etc., like this is why that is all coming out. Once you can see your true self, Pluto opposite Mars in Leo, once you can see your true self, the light and the dark, the light Leo, the dark Aquarius, and detach your mind from the influences of the world that you have given your energy to, you will be free. So this is about like coming back into your power in so many ways with this Taurus new moon. And in a way, it's kind of like point blank, like, what do I have control over versus what do I not have control over? Like, what do you have control over, like physically right now, and what do you not? And where are we making our own selves responsible or carrying the weight for other people's feelings, decisions, pain, how they think, feel, etc.? If we don't have power over that, then we don't need to be carrying it. And that's so much of what this is about. What do I have actual power over and what do I not? Keep it simple. Back to this Taurus new moon. It's going to feel very complex and there will be parts of it that feel very complex, but try to bring it back to the basics. Try to bring it back to simplicity. It's like, okay, let me ask myself a simple question and break it down and not make it super complex and not make it into this big thing where I feel like I'm like in this huge complex battle or huge complex place in my mind where I'm like, whatever, right? Because of that, I think that like a lot of the themes that we're going to be experiencing and that we've been experiencing is this reevaluation of relationships. Again, Venus, Saturn, which is like, really pushing us to reassess what we truly value and want, even when it's hard, even when there's consequences that come with it, even when there's discomfort that comes with what we want, even when there's uncomfortable decisions, even when, things feel like they've expired and we have to let it go, like whatever the case may be, it's going to be different for different people. And this doesn't always have to be romantic either. This could be friendships, coworkers, just what you truly desire in your life, like things that you used to like that you're finding out that you no longer like, things that you used to be attracted to or into that you're no longer into, all kinds of things. But the energy right now is really ripe for either strengthening existing bonds with a solid foundation and appreciation for the good and the bad, or letting go of what no longer serves us, learning lessons, maturing in love and loss. Seeing both the gains and the losses and being able to appreciate them both. Because at the end of the day, this Taurus new moon is about really showing us that what we desire will cost us, but you will also gain true fulfillment, a true feeling of abundance from the inside out, not the outside in. It's like there may be a more truthful but more difficult path here that's revealing itself that may not be comfortable, but may feel like the soul path, the evolutionary path. And that can come with some fear, right? Some unknown. Like, Pluto in Aquarius is like, fuck, I don't know. This is unknown. This is eerie. This is ominous. Like we're facing some of our deepest freaking fears here with rejection, with, what other people think, with society, societal conditioning, mortality, death and rebirth, being who we are, shining for who we are. Karmic lessons in relationships that are really hard and potentially disappointing and, whatever. I think that this is about either strengthening existing bonds that we have or letting go of what no longer serves us with this, Venus-Saturn conjunction. Seeing that, yes, it may cost us to go after the things that we desire. It may cost us realizing that we're not fulfilled in some area of our lives. But what is it costing us to stay unfulfilled and to make ourselves smaller, to not rock the boat or to not cause any chaos or tension? It may feel like harmony, but is it really harmony if it's not real? If it's just being put on the back burner, if it's just being saved till later, if it's not authentic? Mars and Leo. The other theme here is power and control, obviously, with this Mars-Pluto opposition. Mars opposite Pluto is very much stirring up power dynamics and highlighting where control is being challenged in our lives. Again, point blank period. What do you have power over? What do you not? What do you have control over? What do you not? Let go of what you don't have control over. What else are you going to do about it? Sit in fear, doom, and gloom all day? Like, trying to find, sitting in your head about it, like that's not helpful or healthy. So, this could manifest in a lot of ways, but, it could manifest as personal or global tensions or conflicts, But it's also an opportunity to really step into one's own personal power at this time and make really bold changes that actually truly do align with us authentically, or that align with our heart. Even though they are scary, or even though there's an unknown element or uncertainty there. The other part of this is building security. Because again, this is all pointing back to this big triangle here, this Taurus new moon. Saying, hey, okay, whatever this is the answer. This Taurus new moon is the answer. Number one, slowing down. It doesn't all need to be figured out right freaking now, even though it's going to feel urgent. And even though it's going to feel like, oh my gosh, I need to make this big firework boom in my life, I need to make this big dramatic exit, or I need to do something about it right this second. Slow down, allow yourself to process this, ground. Okay. Taurus new moons urge grounding. And it's about building internal security, which then reflects outwardly. It's the moon and the sun in Taurus. So this is about coming into alignment within ourselves in terms of a secure, abundant way, and then that kind of coming out of us, right? That being reflected back to us, manifestation, basically. This is a desire for stability and the need to break free from old patterns, habits, and ways that are keeping us stuck in unfulfilling cycles. And I think that this might also manifest as a collective need to find a balance between comfort and change, where things need to change or where we feel comfortable and we're scared of change. But really, are we really comfortable? That's the thing you have to ask yourself. Because so many people are like, oh, well, I don't want to change because I might not be happy where I am, but I'm comfortable. And it's not that you're really comfortable, because if you were comfortable, then you'd probably be happier, right? It's just convenient. And really, you're just scared to make the change because you're going to worst possible case scenario. What if it doesn't work out? What if I lose this, but it's not made up for in some way? It's like we're weighing out the cost of losing something that we've grown to be comfortable with, So I think the other part of this is transformation through resistance. So I think people are being asked to really confront what feels safe versus what feels like it will lead to growth. That's another huge one. Again, the moon in Taurus wants to feel safe, secure, comfortable with its physical surrounding, its physical lifestyles in practical ways. But again, are we growing? And I used the example in my weekly last week, we're sitting there on the couch in our slippers and our robe, all cozy, watching our favorite Netflix show, eating our favorite DoorDash meal. But we're not really too happy with our lives for some reason, we're not really happy with the career we have or the relationship we have or with how we're, going about achieving our goals or the milestones in our lives or that really big impact we feel we should be making in some way, right? It's like there's something that is being kind of pushed down that we are distracting ourselves with the Netflix and the comfort and all of that. And that's what's really coming up, I think, for a lot of people during this new moon. What's comfortable versus what's safe. Or not safe. What's comfortable and safe versus what feels like it will lead to growth. What versus evolution. And so this is a transformative time, and growth doesn't always come easily. It often, requires facing uncomfortable truths and working through some deep fears, and that's what this is about. Again, I also said this in my weekly. The key to your next level is in the shit that you don't want to face right now in front of your face. It's the shit in your life right now that you're not wanting to truly face, or that you're not wanting to deal with, or that you're putting off, or you're procrastinating on, or that, you're making excuses for. That's the key to your next level every single time. You can't get to level 3 from level 2 if you haven't completed level 2. And so that's really what this is about right now. It often requires us working through some uncomfortable truths and some deep fears for us to finally get to that next level. And so in a broader sense, I think a lot of these energies combined are really pushing people to face hard truths, like I said, and redefine their values and create more sustainable, meaningful lives, instead of lives that feel superficial or that look good on the outside but don't feel great on the inside. Or there's a lot of tension coming up that's causing us to rethink our own relationship with security, stability, comfort, superficiality, our own individual ways of creating stability in our lives or creating abundance in our lives. I know just in the last few days, especially, it feels like money, financial stuff, stability, security is just coming up like crazy. I'm like, oh yeah, the Taurus energy is definitely on and popping, It's like so many of the issues kind of end up pointing right back to that. It's like, okay, well, if this was solved, yeah, there'd still be maybe some fear or some whatever, but that would be the solution, having a better relationship with money, or dealing with a money situation, or dealing with the issue of why you don't feel secure or stable, or why you can't feel like you can't provide for yourself, et cetera, that ends up basically being the solution, is what I'm trying to say, to a lot of these tense energies that we're dealing with, and create some kind of new chapter in our lives and pushes us to focus on it. And that's what this Taurus new moon is really creating. It's about redefining our values, creating a more sustainable, practical, simple, and meaningful life for ourselves. One that is truly more fulfilling, even though it might cost us some of the comfort we've obtained up until this point. I think this could also be calling out those, that have been maybe resistant of change and have been living in kind of stagnant situations. This could feel like a pivotal moment of reckoning or like a sudden push forward for I think that this could really bring up some intensity where it's like, okay, I need to finally figure this out. I need to finally do something about this. But I think for those willing to embrace the discomfort, it's a time of great potential and transformation. You can do a lot of things with this T-square. You can be a badass mother effer with this T-square, okay? You can manifest a lot. It's going to come from a very powerful place. But if you can reconcile these energies within yourself, if you feel like you really understand what I'm saying in this video and what I've been saying the last couple weeks, especially in my newest weekly horoscope, the video before this, then if it feels like it's really hitting you deeply, then this is a very, very powerful new moon to say, I am effing done. I know what I want. It's hard. Maybe it wasn't the truth I expected. I'm seeing where maybe I've been avoiding, making this decision or coming to these revelations or whatever because of this need to stay comfortable or this need to not create any chaotic situations or this fear of change or whatever it may be. But I am finally ready to face this. I'm finally ready to deal with this. And this is such a powerful, powerful, powerful new moon to come to that kind of conclusion on. And, for those of you that my community post earlier today, I talked about this and this, Taurus new moon and all of that. I said some really interesting things on there. It kind of just channeled through me out of nowhere. So let me bring it up here. But I said, we're in the eye of the astrological Mars-Pluto storm today and tomorrow. I asked, obviously, how you guys were doing, all of that. I asked if, I said that this is feeling very weighty. It can feel heavy. It can feel like you're carrying a lot of weight. There's a battle of superficiality versus depth, short-term pleasure versus long-term fulfillment, owning your truth, and claiming the life you desire, even in the face of the unknown, fear, and uncertainty. Also, it's about what you want and who you are versus society and others' expectations of you. And so we are facing some final heavy, deep, shadowy stuff right now. If you are feeling the intensity, it can feel like something is about to snap or break, or it can feel heavy and deep. It means that something is trying to come out of you, a deeper truth that maybe has been avoided and repressed out of a need to stay comfortable or accepted. The truths that may arise this weekend may be painful and inconvenient for many, but this is really shattering the illusions of fulfillment that we've been under for a while. We've potentially stayed in places we don't desire out of comfort or for security, when really, how comfortable is it? How comfortable are we? What is it costing us to stay comfortable now instead of change now to be more comfortable later? What sacrifices are you making to stay? What are you giving up? What we've seen as comfortable or fulfilling is getting a major reality check and transformation with this new moon. A breaking of illusions, shattered realities, breakthroughs, and awakenings even. We are in a threshold right now before the big up level. And what is the big up level? We are the main character in a game. And we've forgotten. We've forgotten how powerful we are. We've forgotten what we're capable of. We've forgotten our abilities and our capabilities. We've forgotten that this is our own game that we're playing. We are the mastermind. Ta-da! Spoiler alert. We are the mastermind behind this whole situation. The situation we're in, we created it, just like we can create another one, right? Wake up to who you are again. And I think that's what this new moon is doing for many people. Helping you remember what you're capable of, helping you remember that you are worthy, that you're not a failure, that just because you don't desire something and it sucks and it's definitely kind of inconvenient now, or just because you've realized all these different things, or just because you're facing some uncomfortable truths or coming to this, kind of crossroads in your life where it feels like something needs to change here, or you're getting kind of a completely transformed viewpoint on what is comfortable and fulfilling and what isn't, or what you desire and what you don't, like, all of that does not mean that you cannot do what you want to do. And this is so important because I think with all the fear, with all the change, with all the heaviness, with all this intensity, it can be very overwhelming for people, and people can really feel like, okay, I'm having all these revelations and they're really hard and they're unexpected, but it's scary. Can I really do this? Can I really change? And I want to tell you that yes, you fucking can. You've got to come back to your confidence. You've got to come back to your courage. You've got to come back to the part of you, that inner knowing that knows what you're really capable of. You've got to come back to your bigger vision of what you want for your life. It's going to be easy to dwell on the what ifs and the worst case scenarios and, all of that. But you have to come back to, even through the difficult parts of your life, you've learned something and it's created who you are today. You can handle whatever comes, but you have to follow your soul. And if your soul is telling you that something is missing, or that you're living a life that feels stagnant or not true to who you are, you've got to listen to that. And you don't got to figure it all out right now. Bring it back to today. Bring it back to the present. Bring it back to right here, right now. You can take it a day at a time. Okay? Abundance isn't always about money and physical things. Comfort isn't always truly comfortable. Sometimes it's just convenience. And convenience doesn't always actually equal fulfillment. Superficiality doesn't always equal depth. And who we are and what we're capable of is way bigger than we've even been thinking lately. So that is what I wanted to leave you with for this Taurus new moon. Let me know down below if you're on the wavelength, number one, if this is like landing with you, if you're like, holy shit, I understand exactly what you're saying. This is me. Holy crap. And number two, let me know down below if you stayed until this point. Comment down below, badass alien, because you are fam. I appreciate you. You are a badass mama jamma. Let me know down below that you made it this far. I appreciate you guys. And with all that being said, we are going to move on to what this means for your rising sign. And I'm also working on May horoscope, so that will be coming by next week. So definitely be paying attention for that. Make sure your notifications are on. You're not going to want to miss May's horoscopes for your signs. It's definitely a very different month than we've had. May changes a lot. It's definitely a change from what we've had. And I'm really excited for it, but there are some big changes still happening, like Saturn moving into Aries and joining Neptune. But other than that, I think it is very different than what we've had. It's less chaotic, and it's more of like moving forward after these really big, catastrophic changes that many of us have been going through. If you haven't been going through any catastrophic changes the last few months, consider yourself lucky. It's probably just not hitting your chart in those ways, and you're a lucky one, okay? But anyways, I love you guys. We're going to move on to what this means for your rising sign. Alrighty, Taurus Rising. So let's start with you since this new moon is in your sign. So, okay, Taurus, this is a very intense new moon and you might be feeling it. There has been something that has been heating up, that has been this ongoing back and forth or ongoing struggle since the end of last year in 2024, going on between your personal life, your private life, your home and family life, what you are doing behind the scenes, the past, things that are going on in a personal manner and that deal more with, your kind of, your private life, And also, you've been being kind of pulled between that and your public life, your long-term goals, your career, like the evolution of your life and what that looks like, and like the goals, the reputations, the achievements that you want to kind of achieve and go for. Like, what does your future look like? What are your long-term goals? What's going on in the world and in your public life and with your big vision for your life versus your private life, your home life, your family life? And I think that there's been this ongoing struggle or tension where you've been pulled between these two areas of life. And there's been a lot of lessons you've been learning in terms of relationships and other people and your social life and your aspirations and where you belong and your place in the world and like all of that as well. And so this T-square is happening between your 4th, 10th, and 1st house. And so really just on a basic level, I went over this a lot more extensively in the April horoscope. So do keep that in mind and go back and watch that if you want more of an extended version of all of this. But I do feel like this is pushing you in some way towards you. It's like, look, if you want to figure out this whole back and forth or this extreme push and pull or this conflict or this tension or this power struggle or whatever it is between these two areas of life, maybe you've had a lot of like really deep fears coming up with what you can't control about your future or your job or your career or the legacy you want to leave behind or your life achievements and where you want to be in your life. Like maybe there's been like a lot of like deep-seated fear. Maybe it's brought up the topic of like mortality, or maybe it's brought up a topic of like deep transformation or power struggles in career or with your life goals or whatever the case. And, maybe there's also been a lot of stuff going on with your home and family and private life that you've had to really focus on or take care of. And it's like you want to, I really see this as like, it's almost like there's something that you want to do that feels very unknown or uncertain or eerie. There's like a lot of fear behind it. It's like, this is what I want to do, or this is like the direction that I want to go in, or even maybe you're being pulled in that direction, but it's too scary, or it's like, it feels like I don't have any control there. So like, I don't know if I should do it or not, or I don't know if I should just stay where I'm at or focus on me or like whatever. But whatever this is, it's pushing you to back into yourself. It's pushing you to realize and remember your own worth, to realize and remember your own value, your own potential, your own, like to come back to your own sense of self-love and valuing yourself, your own sense of self-honor. Like maybe you have a certain, like maybe you feel like, like there's like something that you want to do, like I said, for a career or in your life, or this like long-term goal that you feel like would be so transformational and deeply evolutionary for you. But you also have some kind of challenge, like kind of keeping you from being able to do that, to do with your home, family, past, personal life, personal situations in some way, or some kind of conflict there or controversy there. And so it's like, well, I don't know if I can really go after the things that I want, but is that an excuse or is it just fear? Right? And so either way, though, this is like the answer to solving this is going to be to come back to yourself and focus on you. Focus on you, your body, your desires. The first house is really where the body and the soul meet. And so it's like focusing on yourself and coming back to yourself and seeing your own value, your own worth, your own potential. That's what's really going to help you here. And that's really where this answer lies for you, is like a Taurus Rising. So let me know down below, Taurus Risings, if that resonated. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'd love to hear how this is playing out for you, whether you feel like that resonated or not. Like, I'd really love to know how you're seeing this playing out right now for you guys, because this is pretty intense for you. I mean, it's in your angular houses, so you're definitely, this is like potentially changing the direction. It could feel like almost like changing the direction of your life, and it's like up to you, and that could feel very scary. And so I 100% understand if that's what you're going through. I feel like I'm kind of going through something similar as another fixed rising sign. Feels like there's kind of like two paths, and you gotta choose one, and it's up to you. And you're not really sure what to do, and so anyways, let me know down below. Comment sexy Taurus Rising if you watched your horoscope until this point. I appreciate you. If you missed the beginning, go back and watch it. That will give you a lot more to work with, okay? A lot more answers. So go back and watch the beginning if you skipped ahead. And we're going to move on to Gemini Rising. So for Gemini Risings, this Taurus New Moon is happening in your 12th house. Okay, so this is kind of the house of your subconscious, rest, releasing, closure, letting go, but also self-undoing, where you can kind of at times work against your own self subconsciously and undo things that you consciously want. Could be a lot going on in your dream world for this new moon. And this could be a time where you're kind of wanting to take a step back, pause, retreat, rest, remove yourself or let something go or close something out in some way. Now, I will say that for the most part, unless you have other things going on in your chart, that, Gemini and Sag risings especially probably aren't going to be feeling this as much. Again, that's going to depend though. Like if you have placements in your chart that this is hitting for you, then obviously that's going to change things, right? But I think, this is your third and your ninth house. So these are kind of cadent houses. They're not as as intense or activating or noticeable at times. And so either way, this is, though, still adding something. It's a Mars-Pluto opposition, so it is playing out in some way. But it could be kind of in mundane ways, like ways that aren't like life-changing, but could be more mundane. Like, maybe you've had this kind of conflict going on with like your community or where you live, or speaking up or expressing yourself in some way, shape, or form, or with friends in some way. And, Pluto and Aquarius in your ninth is like, you've had these, maybe you've been known for something around where you live, or like in your own little bubble, or like in your own little community, but it's like you have these deeper desires to evolve beyond that, maybe put yourself out there like online, or go other places and spread your skills or awareness, but you've had some kind of like underlying fear, or it feels like very eerie or hard to think about, or there's been something going on that feels like it's like out of your control. And it's made you really kind of reflect on like what you value and what you feel safe with and what you feel secure with. And if you feel like you have the courage to put yourself out there, or to express your ideas or opinions or your skills on a bigger level in some way, And with this squaring this Taurus new moon and this creating this T-square, this Taurus new moon is saying, hey, the answer to this is really to kind of take it slow, ground yourself, and take a step back. Like maybe you've gotten, Pluto and Aquarius in the ninth, maybe you've gotten kind of obsessive with what's going on in the world, or you've gotten obsessive with like the future of humanity, or AI or technology, or some kind of topic that you've gotten really into or whatever, but also makes you feel kind of powerless. And then your Mars and Leo down in the third house is like, oh, I feel like I need to fight this, or like express myself, or put my opinion out there and let it be known or something, but it's like felt like this kind of never-ending battle, or this pull or push between two different places in your life, this kind of opposition happening where it's this push and pull, and you haven't really figured out if like, you want to, do the things that you're used to, or that feel more like second nature to you, or get out of your comfort zone in some way, in some area of your life. Okay. And so this Taurus new moon is like, well, hey, instead of like, fighting with it or going back and forth, why don't you take a step back? Why don't you pause? Why don't you retreat, a little bit, withdraw a little bit, focus on nourishing yourself, self-care, getting back to like a level of simplicity. Maybe there's some things going on behind the scenes that are causing this that you need to kind of sit with and figure out first. Like that's kind of what this Taurus new moon is about for you as a Gemini rising. So let me know if you are noticing any of that going on as a Gemini rising. I'd really love to hear what you guys are noticing happening here, whether you feel like that related or not. I'd still love to hear from you down below. What's going on with you? How are you seeing these transits play out for you? Comment sexy Gemini rising down below, because you are boo. And then also, if you missed the first part, that can give you a lot more context and a lot more to go off of with, what's happening around this time and why it's a big deal and what all to look for. So definitely go back and watch the beginning if you missed that, okay? So, okay, moving on to Cancer risings. For Cancer risings, this new moon is happening in your 11th house of other people, your social life, your aspirations, your network, your connections, groups of people, social events, social ties, etc. So, this new moon is definitely bringing in those things, right? Like the physical and practical social elements that you have, what you gain from certain social connections, or what they gain from you in some way. Okay, like what you gain from your network, your friends, the communities that you're involved in. Do you feel like they're very fulfilling, etc.? Now, this Mars-Pluto opposition is happening in your second and eighth house. And so this is really bringing up a lot of intensity and a lot of power struggles and a lot of facing fear going on with finances and any kind of relational stuff. Okay, this could be, someone dealing with your baggage, you dealing with another person's baggage, you facing some financial situation that's out of control, or that's out of your control that you can't change, or it feels like you're almost like powerless over it. You know, like, I think that really what this is saying is like, don't be afraid to ask for help as a Cancer rising. This could be from friends, communities, networks, you know, organizations, charities, etc. But also, don't let your pride get in the way of asking for help. Don't let your stubbornness get in the way of asking for help. There's some kind of evolutionary lesson in this for you, and there's some kind of fear that you're facing in terms of social dynamics to do with potentially finances or resources or, you know, anything that you share with another person, okay, or another organization or company or like whatever. I mean, it could be like you and a business partner, or it could be debt that you owe or money that's owed to you, but there's some kind of financial situation going on here that's also somehow trying to show you that there's some new beginning that can be had if you plant some seeds and really focus on the sustainability, the growth, and the, what's the other word I'm looking for? The quality of your connections and network, okay? And so this is like coming back to your own sense of confidence and your own skills and your own talents and knowing where you can shine your own abilities, right? But also understanding that you don't have control over everything, that you don't have power over everything, and that's okay. And really getting back to a place of like, okay, like I can handle this, and having courage and this sense of confidence in yourself, but also knowing what like you're capable of and not, you know, being again like stubborn, egotistical, or too prideful to get out of your own way at times. Okay. And so I think that's what a lot of this could be about for Cancer risings. Let me know down below though, Cancer risings, how you are seeing this play out. I went a lot more into depth about the different ways this could play out though in my April horoscope. So if you would like more of an in-depth overview of how this could play out for you with your houses and all the different other houses it's involving, go back and watch that, or go back and watch the beginning of this video, because that'll probably give you a lot more context and how this could play out and all the different ways this could play out as well, because I went over a lot in the first half of this video. So comment down below, sexy Cancer rising, if you stayed until here. I appreciate you. And we're going to move on to Leo risings. Whoa, Leo risings. Speaking of shine, these lights are like hurting my eyes right now. I'm like blinded by the light. Okay. Leo risings, my fellow Leo risings, this is an intense one. Are you guys feeling this shit? Like, holy crap. I had some really crazy intense dreams last night. It's really been showing up in like a lot of, I've literally like my weekly horoscope has been so accurate in so many different ways and so many different layers. Like it blows my mind for like every day too. Like, I mean, yeah, I've noticed those themes on the other days as well, because, you know, a transit does build over a few days or longer, but oh my gosh, it's been so freaking accurate. And it's like, I've been in this like Venus, Saturn, stuff, and then now I'm like really feeling like the Mars Pluto stuff, and it's been so intense. Like it just, there's just this eerie feeling in the air, very Pluto, you know, and I'm like, it's been very, very intense. So I'd love to know if you guys are feeling that, but this is a big deal for us. Like this is some life-changing shit for Leo risings, especially those of us that have our rising between like 0 and, you know, 10 degrees. We're really, really feeling this, and which is me. We're really feeling this, and this is intense. You know, this is this ongoing Pluto Mars struggle that we've been having since the end of last year, bringing up a lot of deep, hidden, subconscious, potentially old past stuff and new stuff that maybe we weren't aware of in terms of our relationships and the future of our relationships, like what we actually see for our futures and what we actually want to evolve into. And it's like so much deeper than that though. I feel like it's like, what do you want for your soul mission here? Like, and I know that sounds like kind of like really cheesy and like woo woo, but like, it's almost like, you know, do you really want the easy, comfortable path? Or do you want the evolutionary path where you're going to learn a lot about yourself and you're going to go through like the deepest, you know, transformations and forge yourself in the fire and like, you know, just have this like revolutionary kind of life and understand who you are on even deeper levels? Or do you want the kind of basic bitch life, you know? And I feel like that's kind of really big right now for us. It's like, do you want the life that checks all the boxes and has all the like, societally correct milestones and all of that? Or do you want something that lights your fucking soul up, but is scary as shit, And I think that, because this has a lot, it's so much more than just like us and our relationships. Like, yeah, that's likely where we're going to be seeing it play out, like us and other people, or us and what society expects of us, or us and our partner, or us and like whatever the case may be, right? But there's also this like, what do you want in terms of your physical life? How do you want your physical life to look? And this new moon's happening in our 10th house, which is like our future. Like, this is our long-term goals. This is our future. This is our vision for our life. So this is like a crossroads in a lot of ways, I think, for a lot of Leo risings, where we're torn between something. We're potentially torn between two paths, two opposites that could lead to very different outcomes. And in a way, now that I'm kind of looking at this, it's like, do they really lead to different outcomes? Could they lead to the same outcome or something similar? With the T-square, because, a T-square is basically like a triangle, right? So you got Mars on this end, Pluto on this end, the new moon up here. So it's kind of like, what if both these paths that we're feeling torn between actually do lead to, some kind of new beginning that is more fulfilling, regardless of what we choose, Anyway, but I really do feel like, this is big. And I went over this a lot more in depth in my weekly video. So if you didn't see that, go back and watch that. And then also in the beginning of this video. But I think that we're really learning true confidence, true power, true courage, what truly lights our soul up, what do we truly desire, how to accept the cost of what we desire and the consequences of what we desire, even when it's hard, unexpected, or difficult. Okay, that Venus-Saturn conjunction in our 8th is like, there's a give and a take, a give and an exchange of energy with everything that we want and desire, and it's not always pretty. There's a lot of karmic relationship stuff, and a lot of karmic, maybe entanglement stuff, energetic entanglements, and that could play out in the form of finances, emotional wounds, insecurities, hurt, pain that's still being held on to from the past, etc. Any kind of ties that you have with another person, and the lessons and the karma that comes with that. So this is a new moon that's like, hey, instead of focusing on you versus other, or, what I want versus what everybody expects of me, or what everybody else wants, or things that you have no freaking power over, focus on the here and now and what you actually want to build and what you need to do regardless of what you choose. And it likely is going to have something to do with stabilizing your life or sustaining your life in some way, or, making yourself feel more secure or more consistent, in terms of your future, your long-term goals, your career, your job, your work, building something that feels more practical and that can grow with you and that feels more fulfilling. And so that is what I'm seeing here, for Leo risings. I think a lot of this is also with this being Taurus ruled by Venus, and Venus being in our 8th house. It's like, where do we need to get our finances in order and check, to feel more stable or to feel more secure within our lives? That could be something as well. So let me know down below, Leo risings, if that resonated, what you're noticing coming up for this time period. I'm really, really interested to know how you guys are feeling all of this right now. So please let me know down below. And comment down below, sexy Leo rising, if you watched until this point. I appreciate you guys so, so much. And go back and watch the beginning, okay? I need you guys to definitely check out the beginning of this one if you skipped ahead, okay? Because it's going to give you a lot more, like, you can thank me later, okay? So moving on to Virgo risings. For Virgo risings, this Taurus new moon's happening in your 9th house. So this is a new moon that it's kind of intense, okay, for you. I mean, it's an intense new moon in general, but for you, it's kind of intense, but in different ways. It's intense in terms of really getting determined and clear about what is holding you back and the hidden elements of your life in terms of your health, your routines, your job, your work, where you've, out of pride, maybe held things in or withheld certain things, or, it's like Virgo risings, I feel like, don't really wear their hearts on their sleeves, okay? Now, obviously, that's kind of a general statement, so you might have something in your chart that contradicts that, and yada, yada, I know, okay? But Leo in the Leo in the 12th, right? Like, you may not like to show your true desires, your true heart, your true playful, fun, side and all of that. So it's like something that you may kind of reject subconsciously, or something that you may kind of withhold subconsciously. Now, this is kind of the ending of this cycle that started at the end of last year, technically even before that, in like February 2024. But this current, phase that we're in started at the very end of last year. Now you're kind of coming back around to something that you may have first originally faced off with around November, December timeframe last year. And you're coming back around to kind of face it again with a very, very different perspective and from a very, very different angle. With a lot of lessons under your belt this time. And so there's something here. It could have to do with your job, your health, your routines, your mindset. There's something here. And then also just how you work against yourself behind the scenes, right? Again, withholding things, holding things in, how you really deal with change subconsciously. Could be just showing you a lot of these different topics that are coming up right now. And relationships are very, very, very big right now for you as a Virgo rising. Venus, Saturn in your 7th, coming to terms with something hard or difficult to do with relationships. Or even if you're already in a relationship, this is something your partner could be going through, dealing with some kind of difficult situation. But it's not all difficult. There are gains to it. There are things that are revealed or that are coming together because of it, that are able to be mended or healed because of these things going on with relationships in your life. But it's also showing you where certain changes need to be made on your end in terms of your internal programming with health, your subconscious, and how you kind of deal with things and process things, job-related things, and your routines and self-care and how you take care of yourself. You can't always put yourself last. So these are a lot of the things that are coming up. I just kind of re-listened because I have some Virgo risings in my life. And I just re-listened to the Virgo Rising horoscope from the year ahead, the 2025 Virgo Rising horoscope, and I was like shocked. Jaw on the floor. I was like, oh my God, I read you guys to filth. I really freaking did. I had a lot of Virgo Risings that commented on that video that were like, oh my God, I already feel this happening. So, and just from what I know about the Virgo Risings in my life, I was just like, oh my God, like that. I could not have been more accurate in that horoscope. Like my Leo rising is Mars in my first house is giving me props right now. So go back and visit that if you haven't in a couple months. So anyways, but this new moon's coming in your 9th house to say, hey, there's some kind of new vision being created for your life. And it's okay for that new vision to be created. And yes, it's supposed to feel more secure. It's supposed to feel brighter. It's supposed to feel more comfortable and fulfilling. But you've got to make these necessary changes. These necessary changes are going to lead you to the brighter vision that you want. And you have to be optimistic, and you have to drop this sense of feeling like you need to almost like fearing hope, fearing optimism, fearing having a vision or creating a vision for yourself. Allow yourself to dream again and stop holding yourself back. I feel like that's what this is about for Virgo Rising. So let me know down below if that resonated at all for you guys, Virgo Risings. I'd really like to hear your feedback and what's going on for you guys. Whether it resonated or not, I'd like to hear down below how you guys are feeling this. Comment down below, sexy Virgo Rising as well. If you watched until this point, I appreciate you. Go back and watch the beginning if you didn't, because it's really good. And also go check out that 2025 horoscope video, because I think it's going to relate a lot. So anyway, moving on to my lovely Libra risings. This new moon for you is happening in your fellow Venusian ruled sign, Taurus, which is your 8th house. And so this is very much about wealth, finances, how the wealth that you accumulate and what you desire to do with it, right? These are kind of your goals with abundance, wealth, what you want to own, what you want to have, the lifestyle that you want to have, but also how you share that with others and how you participate with others, your relationships, your financial relationships with others. And that could also include your partner as well. Their finances and how you guys share finances there and how you, divide things up there. So with that being said, this Mars-Pluto opposition is happening in your 5th and 11th house. And this has been a very intense time in terms of, like I've been talking about a lot, there's been a lot going on, I think, for Libra Risings, trying to figure out, excuse me, if you still fit into the same places that you did before. You've been really potentially realizing where you've looked for validation, where you kind of have almost been like playing into this like popularity contest, or where you've feared rejection for being like your different, weird, eccentric, quirky self, or for wanting to do something that's outside of the normal way to do something, that may seem a little bit fringe or rebellious, but it's like, what you're supposed to do, and you feel on a soul level like this is what I'm here to freaking do, but you're like, well, I don't know, everybody else might think I'm weird or call me out, or there might be some conflict or controversy, and I really kind of want to avoid that, right? There might be some drama, etc. So this is like, okay, I get it. You don't want to do the things that you love or own the parts of you or the parts of your life that feel different or like an outcast or fringe or whatever due to how other people might see you or perceive you or whatever because of this certain reputation or this idea that you've built up around yourself. But what are your actual goals? What are the things that you actually want to achieve? Where are you going to actually be really fulfilled in terms of your finances, your abundance, your wealth, and your relationships with others? Like, this is more about deep quality relationships and deep quality experiences in terms of helping other people. Who are you not helping? Or what are you being like, what is it costing you to try to continue to stay normal, right? And so it's like you have to start thinking about, it's like, okay, if I don't see somebody out there doing the things that I want to be doing, or maybe I do, but then they're like looked at as, whatever way, and so that's why you're scared. Either way, it's like you're not them, number one. And number two, maybe you need to lead the way. Maybe you're the one to do it, because there's likely going to be so many more people that actually feel like you. And by you being your authentic self and putting yourself out there and accepting the parts about yourself that are fringe or different or eccentric or quirky or abnormal or weird or rebellious or, that aren't, that are unconventional, then you actually give other people permission to do it. And you become like the business, if you have like a business, or if you have deep, kind of, material relations with other people or your partner or whatever, that side takes off. And so it's like you're kind of being pushed into making some kind of financial or material decision here. It may not be right on the new moon. It could be like, in the couple weeks following, but you're being pushed towards that to finally bring these different sides of you together so you can finally move forward and move beyond this conflict and opposition that you've been having within your life. It's time to integrate all of it, and it's time to move forward. So that's what I'm seeing for you as Libra Rising. Let me know down below if that was helpful and if you related to it, okay? And whether you did or you didn't, at least let me know down below what you do notice going on. I'd really appreciate it. And comment sexy Libra Rising down below, because you are. And if you missed the beginning, boo, you're gonna want to go back and watch that, because I said some things that I really, really, really think that Libra Risings in particular will love and relate to. So definitely go back and check out the beginning if you missed it. I think it's going to give you a lot more context as to how this is all playing out in your life as well. So, alrighty, moving on to Scorpio Risings. For Scorpio Risings, this is a very, very intense one. Okay, you're probably feeling it. If you're not, then I guess you're lucky, I guess you are lucky, because this is a very, very intense time. We have a new moon in your opposite sign in your 7th house of relationships. We have Pluto in your 4th house of home, family, and your private life. And we have Mars in your 10th house of your career, reputation, long-term goals, and achievements. And yeah, this is like, okay, I want to be the star of the show. I want to claim who I am. I want to be seen for who I am. I want to shine. I want to take the lead. I want to go after my ambitions. I want to, spread my confidence and allow my confidence to be like contagious. And I want to go big or go home. And Pluto's like, but there is a possibility you could go home. This is literally like go big or go home. Pluto's like go home, Mars is like go big, you know? And there's just this kind of push and pull between the two. Like Pluto's like, well, there's this deeper underlying, you know, really difficult stuff that may be going on in your home life or with family or coming up from the past or, you know, whatever. There's like some really deep personal stuff potentially that's been coming up for you as a Scorpio rising that is like very personal and maybe private, sensitive, you know, whatever. And it could be dealing with like, you know, something that was hidden that came to light or, you know, mortality, death and rebirth, the past, you know, something that is shadowy, you know, like Pluto is the god of the underworld, you know, and Mars is like, I just want to like live and like, you know, have this fun, creative, ambitious life and be known and be seen and like, you know, go after my goals and, you know, accomplish the things I want to accomplish or like put all my energy into my career. And there's just been this push and pull between like maybe feeling like an outsider in your home and family versus feeling very loved or wanting to feel very loved and wanted and wanting to feel like you have people's attention in your career and your long-term goals or in whatever it is that you're doing out in the world, you know? And so, you know, Pluto in Aquarius is really bringing up these deep kind of psychological fears and traumas and insecurities and, you know, patterns and all that stuff to do with like where you may feel like an outcast at home or in your family or with family or in your personal life or where you maybe like live in a place that isn't, you know, like normal in some way or is like outside of the norm with Aquarius, right? And so it's like, what are you hiding in your personal life and in your private life, and how is that affecting your long-term goals and the vision for your future and the achievements that you're working towards in your career? You know, this could also be like something that you don't have power over in your home and family life, but it's really kind of holding you back, trying to change it or do something about it, you know? Also, this new moon in Taurus is in your 7th house. And so this opposition is creating a T-square with this new moon as it's building, which is kind of telling you that like, hey, the way forward is for you to focus on some kind of new beginning, new fresh start in your relationship department. So maybe it's about like, you know, the solution to whatever this struggle is has something to do with other people or relationships or your love life. You know, this could be asking for help or relying on someone else or deciding to focus on more quality connections in your life, more sustainable connections in your life, more stable connections in your life, more consistent connections in your life, to keep relationships simple, to simplify things and focus on what's actually fulfilling in relationships rather than all the chaos and turmoil, you know? And so that's what I'm seeing for you guys, Scorpio Risings. Let me know down below if any of that was landing. I'd really love to hear your feedback. And even if it wasn't, I'd still love to hear like what is going on for you, how you're noticing these transits. That's really important to me. And then also comment down below, sexy Scorpio Rising, because you are Bill. And if you missed the beginning, definitely go back and watch because you are missing out on a lot. And I think you're going to relate to a lot of the things I said since Mars is a ruling planet. Mars is really heavily involved right now in the astrology. So I think that's going to give you a lot more insight and context as to all the different ways this is playing out right now. So definitely go back and watch that if you haven't already. Okay. Sagittarius risings. For Sag risings, this new moon is happening in your 6th house of your health, self-care, wellness, work, and routines and habits. And so those are a lot of the themes that you could be noticing coming up around this new moon, or that start coming up around this new moon if they haven't already. And, you know, this new moon is really triggering this opposition that we're going through for the final time that started back at the end of last year, November and December. So something that you kind of faced off with, or some, you know, themes that were coming up around that time last year could be kind of coming up again at this time or coming up to be closed out at this time. Now, you are one of the kind of luckier signs in that this opposition is happening in cadent houses for you guys. So these aren't like super life-changing, pivotal places in your chart. Now, obviously, that may change for some of you. If you have certain placements here, certain other planets here that this opposition is landing on or really affecting, obviously you're going to feel that more if that's you. But if you don't really have anything going on in your 3rd and your 9th house, and, you know, like this could, you know, not be as intense for you, right? And so, anyway, either way, there's some kind of huge kind of grand finale happening here. For some of you, this could be that there's been a lot of like chaos or complexity or deeper kind of unknown or even scary or eerie situations going on around you or in your environment or in the environments that you're used to frequenting, or with siblings or extended family or neighbors or in your neighborhood or in your city or in your town. Like there could be something going on near you or around you that's kind of like out of your control in some way. And Mars is kind of coming in, in Leo in your ninth house. And like, okay, well, what do you actually desire? What do you actually want? What does motivate you? What vision motivates you? What's your spark? The way I also could see this for a lot of Sag risings is like where you kind of feel like you don't quite fit into your environment anymore with Pluto and Aquarius, or your surroundings, or maybe your city or your location, or even just like your neighborhood. Maybe it's just your neighborhood, like whatever the case may be, it's like I don't really feel like I fit in anymore. I don't really feel like I fit into these normal places, and therefore it's creating some kind of change that needs to start happening here. And there's also with Mars in your ninth, like I've always wanted to like go somewhere else, or I've always wanted to live here, or I've always wanted to travel here, or I've always wanted to learn this new skill or this new, educational topic, or I've wanted to go back to school, or like it's kind of like what do I want to do with my life, with my learning abilities, and also with my travel pursuits and where I want to live and the things I want to be around and how I want to fit in, to where I'm at. And so in some way, shape, or form, this T-square is squaring your new moon. Or not your new moon, but the new moon in your sixth house, I meant. And this new moon in your sixth house is saying, okay, well, the answer to this is going to be to figure out your job situation or take care of yourself, your wellness, your wellness routines, your diet, your health, your self-care, your habits, or your work, job, and place of employment. So for some of you, this could be like you've been wanting to learn this new skill, or there's been a lot of battles going on with like your opinions or how you express yourself, or even just like I said, your environment or whatever. But somehow the answer to that is by like simplifying things, slowing down a little bit, and getting very, very clear about what you desire to sustain in terms of your health, habits, and job. What is of quality to you here? What is going to fulfill you here? What do you really want and desire in this area of life? And somehow that is kind of the key to whatever this Mars-Pluto opposition is bringing up for you. Okay, and somehow it's all like kind of tying in like family, home life, private life as well with Venus, Saturn in your fourth house. So, but anyways, that is what I'm seeing for you guys, Sag risings. Let me know down below. I am really curious, like the themes that you guys are seeing playing out for you at this time and what you think this Mars-Pluto opposition is for you guys. I'd really love to hear your feedback. Comment down below, sexy Sag rising, if you watched until here. I appreciate you guys, and go back and catch the first half of the video if you really want to understand how else this is going to be affecting you and all areas of life and all of that. So definitely go back and catch that if you haven't already. And we are going to move on to Capricorn risings. Alrighty, Capricorn risings. For you guys, this new moon is happening in your fifth house of your children, pleasures, hobbies, love, romance, sexuality, dating, having fun, anywhere where you find pleasure. This is definitely going to be a time in a new moon that is signifying, hey, simplify your life, get back to the pleasures of your life, the things that feel really good. Stop and smell the roses, get back into like gardening or, art or something that really activates your senses and brings you back into the present moment. And that's kind of in some weird way going to be the solution to you kind of solving some kind of issue here to do with your finances and to do with, kind of relational, emotional, material, financial ties to other people. So there's definitely been some kind of ongoing back and forth, ongoing struggle, conflict, like story, opposition that's been happening here since the end of last year, around November and December, with you financially. There was maybe some kind of situation that happened where you were really, really tested. Maybe there was some kind of loss, there was some kind of challenge, there was some kind of situation where something that was hidden or something that you had been repressing or wanted to kind of keep hidden finally came up or was exposed in some way. And you were really, really, really kind of pushed to reach deep, deep inside of yourself and become very, very resourceful with Pluto in your second. And to really, like, almost like, I almost see this as like a purge, like maybe even there was something where you had to like get rid of something or get rid of certain things, but there was some kind of challenge that came and like really tested your financial situation. And, or, I mean, just even your priorities, what you had, what you owned, what you valued, things that you had for convenience in some way, or things that you relied on, or your survival, it could have brought up survival themes, or, themes of like lack, or, whatever the case may be. So Mars now in your 8th, coming back to your 8th for the final time and opposing Pluto in your second again, this is going to be very different because there's been a lot that's been learned in like the last, almost 6 months now. Actually, yeah, about 6 months now. So now it's like, okay, I think that this also could deal with some themes of like feeling like you do things a little bit differently and maybe feeling a little bit insecure about that. But something outside of you is like expecting you to do it like the normal way. Or maybe you're dealing with an authority, or you're dealing with, something or someone that has some kind of authority or power or something like that with Mars and Leo in your 8th. Either way, there's some kind of challenge or change or tense situation that's been ongoing back and forth to do with your financial situation. And I mean, and also just to do with like your ties to other people. For some of you, this could even just be like dynamics with other people, or like what you share with others, or what they share with you, or what you owe others and what they owe you. And that doesn't always have to be financial. Okay. So anyway, with that opposition, it's squaring the new moon in Taurus in your 5th house, like I said. So it's like pushing you, like all this tension is kind of pushing you towards like, look, can you feel happy and abundant and pleased and pleasure, and in some kind of pleasure and enjoyment and bliss, even when things are uncertain, even when there's things that are unknown? It's like you're getting taught a lot of lessons in how to deal with like loss or uncertainty or the unknown, or things that you're potentially sometimes powerless over, or learning how to deal with topics of control when it comes to your finances and what you have and what you own and your skill sets and your capabilities, but also not allow pride or stubbornness to hold you back. Okay, and so that's like a big lesson here too. It's like, can you find pleasure even in the simple moments? And through those lessons, you start learning how to take your power back in these situations and not allow these things to have control over you. Maybe you had some kind of gambling habit or shopping habit, or, there was something there where there's a lot of kind of, financial themes coming up, or your relationship to money and material things, or whatever the case may be. And this new moon is like, if you can find pleasure and feel grounded and secure from the inside out first, then you have found the key in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so that is like an example of what I'm seeing for you guys, Capricorn. Let me know down below, though, how you guys are feeling this, whether that resonated or not. Let me know what's going on with you guys and how this is playing out for you guys. I'd really love to hear your feedback. I talked a lot more in depth about this in the horoscopes for April. So if you are, wanting to understand more of what this opposition has been bringing up for you, go visit those. And then also check out the beginning of this video, because that could also, I went over all kinds of ways this opposition is going to be playing out for a lot of people. So definitely go back and watch that, because if you didn't already, because it's going to give you a lot more context as to how this is playing out. Okay, so comment down below, sexy Capricorn Rising, if you watched until here. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Moving on to Aquarius Rising. So for Aquarius Risings, this new moon in Taurus, this intense new moon in Taurus, is happening in your 4th house of your home, family, private life, your internal world, where you feel safe, secure, and comfortable internally at home, in your own space, or with your family, etc. Right? And so this is definitely a time where you could be getting pushed to, like, you know, definitely reevaluate what is fulfilling for you in terms of your home and family life, and where you need to ground, or where you need to pull back, or where you want to redecorate, or what's really actually important to you when it comes to your home, and when it comes to the values that you have and the priorities that you have when it comes to your home and family and your personal life. Okay, this Mars-Pluto opposition is really, really intense. You know, Pluto's in your sign now. Mars is in your 7th house. This is really bringing up a lot of hidden psychological, you know, stuff to do with feeling maybe like rejected or denied or different or not a part of, or, you know, whatever the case may be. A lot of different fears to do with those things. And then Mars in your 7th house is like, you know, wanting to kind of like fit in, or dealing with some kind of potential instigator or conflict or controversy or drama outside of you. Now, for some of you, this may not even be like an actual person in your life. This could even just be your own like fears of like what other people think about you, wanting validation from other people. I mean, like literally, like it may not actually be anyone physically in your life. It could literally be people online, or like haters, drama, you know, all of that. But either way, it's like it's really kind of showing you where you may have these fears that you're trying to overcome about being different, or being unconventional, or not needing to follow the orders or the demands of everybody outside of you, or always needing to put yourself last and make it all about them. Okay. And this new moon in Taurus squaring this opposition, you know, as it's building, is basically like, hey, maybe, you know, screw what everybody else is doing. Like, spend some time at home, spend some time like with family, spend some time making sure you're comfortable, you know, spend some time in self-care, spend some time beautifying your house and beautifying your space. And in some way, like that's going to help you. In some way, you making sure that your foundation is stable, secure, sustainable. That's all that really matters here, right? And that's kind of what this Taurus new moon is coming in to say, because you've got a lot of financial stuff going on. Venus, the ruler of this new moon, in Pisces with Saturn the last several weeks. She's stationed direct on Saturn. There's been a lot of financial stuff going on, a lot of losses potentially, or a lot of, you know, remembering, coming back to certain lessons financially, or certain even objects or possessions or things that you have, things that you own, and the nostalgic value of them. Coming back to remembering what your values truly are and what's really important to you. That's really what this time has been about as an Aquarius rising. What's really important to you? What do you hold dear? Screw what everybody else thinks. You know, you can be yourself and not need the validation and the acceptance of everybody else. And maybe this opposition has put you in situations before where it felt like you did need that acceptance. Like maybe your job depended on it, or maybe, you know, something else depended on it. But it's like, not this time. Like your power and your strength and your internal strength might be tested because you're not outwardly boastful, or you're not outwardly trying to be confident, you know? But again, what it really comes down to is what is worth something to you? And can you see your own self-worth and not need everybody else to see it? You know, if they want to make it all about them, you don't have to make it all about them. If they want to do something, you don't have to do it. You just continue being yourself, even if it's different, even if it's eccentric, quirky, unconventional. Focus on what values you have, and then you shine for just being you, right? So that is what I see for you guys, Aquarius Risings. Comment down below, sexy Aquarius Rising, if you watched until here, because you are, and I appreciate you. Also, let me know down below if that resonated, if that was close at all to what you are experiencing lately. I'd really love to hear your feedback and to hear how this opposition and T-square is affecting you with this new moon. I'm really interested to know, so definitely let me know down below. It's my opposite rising signs. So yeah, thank you guys, Aquarius, and we're going to move on to Pisces Rising. So Pisces Risings, this new moon is happening in your 3rd house. And this opposition is happening between Mars and Pluto in your 12th and your 6th. So definitely some hidden, subconscious, psychological, mental turmoil going on with Pluto in the 12th. A lot of stuff could be coming up in your dreams with these transits. And then Mars in your 6th of like, I just want to shine in my job. I want to focus on my wellness. I want to focus on my self-care, my self-love, and, you know, have good habits that like make me feel good and all of that. Okay. And then this new moon in your third. And so it's kind of like the way that I see this is like, there could be a lot of subconscious psychological fears and patterns and cycles and shit coming up from like almost like this fear of being rejected, outcasted, not belonging in some way, especially at work, or especially in terms of your body, your health, your wellness, self-care habits as well. Okay, with Leo in your sixth and Mars here, there's could have been a lot of controversy, challenges at work that really tested you, or that really felt like you were powerless over them in some way. A lot of power struggles here, maybe competitions, maybe being courageous and like, you know, needing to express your confidence or stand up for yourself or own what you're really good at or own who you really are and not be scared of rejection, you know? And so there's been like a lot of lessons in this kind of back and forth place where you've been like being pulled between maybe like escaping or pulling back or doing your own thing that's different versus doing what everybody else is doing, or your job or your health or your wellness or your habits. And so you've been like pulled in these two different directions with this opposition that's been happening on and off since November of last year. And now we have this new moon in Taurus in your third house. And it's like, hey, slow down, ground, take it easy, you know, stop and smell the roses. Look at your lifestyle. Look at the environments that you're in on a day-to-day basis. You know, maybe it's time to go on a short trip. Maybe it's time to live in the present moment and not so much in the future. Like that, it's almost like pushing you towards this third house Taurus energy right now. Maybe it's time to look at the quality of your life and what's around you. Go on a nature walk. Change the way that change your scenery on a day-to-day basis. Change what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And that could really have a big shift on your perspective. And then, you know, you've had Venus, Saturn going on in your sign. There's been a lot going on in your sign, actually. And Saturn rules Pluto in your 12th house. So there's been like a lot here of you like dealing with a lot of unconscious, subconscious patterns, habits, all kinds of stuff that you've had to like accept, forgive, let go of. You know, it can feel like a lot. And this really has been about like accepting what you really desire, even though it's hard. And even though there's like this huge fear that you have of like being alone or being an outcast or like, you know, whatever the case may be, but it's like, oh, you desire it and you gotta accept it. You know, you have something that you desire here that you have to accept. And that starts by you starting to live in the present moment, slow down, stop and smell the roses, come back into the here and the now, and start figuring out how you want to change up your day-to-day lifestyle, your day-to-day routines, the day-to-day environments, what you do on a day-to-day basis. Because those changes, even though they may seem small and very simple, help you to come into a better mindset and a better place within yourself to then set the foundation, set a secure and sustainable foundation for you to then move forward on, for you to feel more clear and grounded rather than in all the chaos. And I feel like that's kind of what this new moon is bringing in for you as a Pisces rising. So let me know down below, though, Pisces, how you're feeling this energy. I'd really love to know. Let me know if that resonated at all as well. Comment down below, sexy Pisces rising. I appreciate you guys. If you missed the first part of this video, you are missing out on a lot, okay? You're missing out on a lot. It's going to describe a lot more for you about what is coming for this new moon that you don't want to miss, that you're probably going to relate to a lot. Talk a lot about Venus, Saturn, which has been happening in your sign. Also, my weekly from last week is like just trenched full of really deep stuff that I think would be really important for you to hear as a Pisces rising with this Venus-Saturn conjunction that we've been having. So anyways, thank you, Pisces. We're going to move on to Aries risings. Last but not least, Aries risings. So this new moon in Taurus is happening in your second house of your finances, the things that you have, the things that you own, your priorities, the things that are important to you and valuable to you. Now, because of that, this new moon on the way to becoming a new moon is squaring this opposition and creating a T-square between Pluto and Mars. And this opposition has been happening on and off since November of 2024 last year. So this has been some kind of ongoing story and struggle going on between Pluto and Mars in your 5th and 11th house. And I really see this for you guys as an Aries rising as something going on here to do with your authentic self, your soul desires, having fun and being confident and courageous and playful and adventurous and ambitious and doing the things that you love and being playful, like just being playful and having a good time and doing the things that really spark you, that like bring that spark of light into your life and make your soul sing, versus the world and other people and what other people are going to think and the groups that you belong to and the power that they hold over you, the power that other people or society or societal, dynamics or societal conditioning or friends or the communities or the different people that are in your life, the power that they have over you. This could also be even like your job, your career, etc. Or you even facing some kind of big fears around putting those desires, those creative pursuits, that soul level spark out there into the world because maybe you're scared that you're going to be rejected, or maybe it's just it literally terrifies you that, people are going to judge you or not accept you or not validate you or whatever. And so there's been this back and forth theme of really wanting validation for your authentic self and maybe even your inner child, or even maybe something going on with your actual children, if you have actual children, versus society and the world and other people and crowds of people and groups of people and how they feel, and this kind of back and forth struggle going on here. Now, because we're having this new moon in Taurus and it's in a T-square with this opposition, it's kind of saying hey, somehow, some way, the answer is getting back to what you actually value. Getting back to your own values, your own priorities, and what's actually worth it and more fulfilling to you. Slow down. You don't need to have it all figured out right now. Okay? You may be feeling like the evolutionary path is going to be facing your fears and is going to be, putting yourself out there on a bigger level, on a bigger scale. But right now, maybe it's important to focus on what you have, what you own, what you can sustain, getting back to a stable, secure place. Focusing on what's of value to you, what's of quality to you, what you already have, what your self-worth and also your own innate talents and gifts that you already have, that are already built in you, that you're already capable of. And that's kind of what this energy is pushing you towards right now. So let me know down below, Aries Rising, if that resonated. I'd really love to hear it. Even if it didn't, let me know what you are noticing happening with these astrological transits. Comment down below, sexy Aries Risings. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here, and go back and watch the beginning if you missed it, because that's also going to give you a lot more on what you're going to see happening with these transits and with this new moon. Okay, it'll click a lot more bells for you. Okay, so anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.